So in this lesson, we're going to talk about linear inequalities in two variables. So basically, it's kind of like we were graphing our lines, but we have an inequality symbol. And remember that an inequality symbol looks like this: less than or greater than, or less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. And our line is going to kind of depend upon which inequality symbol that we have. So this is kind of our inequality symbol with no line is going to be dashed. So there is kind of that little angry man. I'll kind of draw him actually here. Let me get my stuff going here. So angry man opened the door and dashed out. So it's an open circle, which we're not going to graph them on a number line, but in a coordinate plane, we have a dashed line. So mad. And then we have our sleepy man, the bags under his eyes. So those are the greater than or equal to and less than or equal to. And then got a solid night's sleep because he's so sleepy. And he's a solid line, or closed the door, I guess this is the door, and then solid night sleep, so solid line. So if we were looking at this would have had to have been a less than or equal to. So let's go ahead and try just looking and seeing if they graphed it correctly. So for example, -1 here at -1, and then up 1, 2, 3 over 1, so they graph the line correctly. And then we're determining if it's shaded correctly. So they should have a dashed line because there's no line underneath here. And so they've got the dashed, and then we need to check and see if they did the shading correct. So one of the quickest ways is to kind of try this point here, 1, 1, or sorry, 0, 0. You could try 1, 1 and see if that didn't work, and but it's good to try one that was in the shaded region. So in this case, 0, 0. So I'm going to plug in 0 and 0. I'm going to see if it's true. So 0, is that greater than 3 times 0 minus 1? Well, 3 times 0 is 0, minus 1 is -1. Is 0 greater than -1? Yeah. So they shaded it correct. So this is correct. Okay, so on this one, looks like, yep, they started at -1, they went down 1, right 1. It is a solid line because it's got the line under there, so that's good. So again, let's try a point that we pick here. And we can try 0, 0 and see if that is false, and then they did shade correctly. So 0, 0 is always kind of one of my go-to points. So 0 and 0. Well, there's no -0, so we're just gonna, so is 0 greater than -1? Yes. So this is supposed to be the true side, this is supposed to be the false side, which means this should be the shaded if that point works and it was true, and that 0, 0 did work in here. So that means that this graph was incorrectly shaded. On this one, x is less than 4, so go through the x-axis at 4, dashed because we have no line under there, and then we're going to shade, we can again try 0, 0 here. So 0, is it less than 4? Yes, so they did shade correctly. This is the true side. All right, so let's go ahead and practice doing it ourselves now. So we're going to graph this starting at 3 on the y-axis, and are going to put our slope over 1, go down 1, 2, right 1, down 1, 2, right 1. And I'm going to kind of continue that, especially since I'm doing this electronically. The more points you have, even if you're not, the more points you have and you have your straight edge, it's a lot easier. Solid or dotted? It looks like we're going to do solid because we have our line underneath there. Sleepy man. Okay, and then we're going to shade. Let's try a point. So again, I love that 0, 0. So plugging in 0 for y and then 0 for x, and we're going to see which side. This is 0, 0. Is it less than 3? Yes, it is. So this part is the true, which means I'm going to be shading the part that includes the true part, the part that worked. Done. All right, I want you to try that next one on your own and then pause the video and check when you're ready. Okay, so you should have started at 3, moved up one, right one, up one, right one, and then this is a dashed line because there's no line underneath my inequality symbol, so it should be dashed. Don't forget, we get in the habit of drawing a straight line all the way through, so make sure that that is dotted or dashed. Then I chose 0, 0, and I got 0 greater than 3. Well, that is false. 0 is not greater than 3. So if this is my false point, I don't want to shade where 0, 0 is, this side of the line. I want to shade on the other side. So that is the correct graph there. So on this one, it's kind of like the one that we checked up above here. We are going to go through the x-axis at 4, and I'm going to be dashed because I have no line underneath there. And then we're actually going to be shading the left or the right, but we can still plug in a 0. Is 0 less than 4? Yes, so this is true, so I'm going to shade this side. On this next one, we need to change that into slope-intercept form. And then I did want to go over real quick though, if we have a y equals, let's say we have a y greater than 3, then what we would do is we would graph horizontally, and we're going to be at 3 dashed, and then we would maybe choose 0, 0, plug in 0. Is 0 greater than 3? No. So this is the false, so I'm going to shade above the line. Okay, so that's kind of what that would look like if it was a y equals. I did want you to see that. So now what we're going to do is get this into slope-intercept form. So I'm going to kind of do that down here. I got a little more room. So 2x minus y is greater than or equal to 1. Subtract 2x. Negative y greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 1. Be careful when you divide by a negative and you have an inequality symbol, there's that trick where we have to switch our sign when we divide or multiply by a negative. So I had to flip my sign. See how I flipped it there? All right, so now we can graph it. Negative 1 moving up to over 1. It was a negative over a negative, so it became a positive. And then this is going to be a solid line because I've got my line under my inequality symbol there. So solid line. And then I'm going to pick 0, 0. Just don't pick anything on the line. Again, if you're picking different coordinates besides, if 0, 0 was on the line, I would pick one that you for sure can see is on one side of the line and not actually on the line, because then you don't know which side to shade. So 0 greater than or equal to 2 times 0, which is 0. So is 0 less than negative 1? No. 0 is not less than negative 1 because 0, if I look at a number line, 0 is greater than negative 1. It's on the right side of, so 0 is bigger. So that is false. So this being false means I'm going to shade this side, not where 0, 0 is. So go ahead and try number 5. Be careful. Make sure you flip your sign on that one and then try graphing it. Pause and check when you're ready. All right, so I subtracted 3x, divided by everything by negative 1, flipped my inequality symbol since I divided by a negative, and then I tested the point, so I graphed it, start at negative 4 on the y-axis, move up 3 over 1, dashed line since I have no line underneath my inequality symbol. I picked 0, 0 to plug in for x and y, 0 and 0, and then I got 0 greater than negative 4, which is true. So since that point 0, 0 was a true, then I shade where 0, 0 that side is. Go ahead and try number 6, and then pause, check when you're ready. Don't forget to add this to your notes of that flipping of the inequality that we did for 4 and 5. And then for this one, number 6 should have subtracted 6x from both sides, started graphing at 1, going down 6 over 1, solid line. And then I chose 1, 1 because 0, 0 is kind of looking too close to the line. I can't really tell. So I picked 1, 1, and I plugged in the 1 for the x, the 1 for the y, multiplied, and then -6 plus 1 is -5. But 1 is not less than -5. So this would be false for 1, 1. So I'm not going to shade that. I'm going to shade the other side.